Hello, my soul brothers and soul sisters. I am Ron Smith, and this is the Dr. Ron Smith Investigate Show, where we separate the real from fake, the fact from fiction, and give you the winner's edge. And sometimes we're able to turn your water into wine. Today we are talking about one of my favorite subjects, and I think this is episode 8, financial literacy. But today we're going to talk about how lottery winners go broke. You know, everybody is looking for that big windfall, whether it's that 6 numbers and that the little ball that goes around and everybody jumps up and say, hey, I got it. Or you win somebody inherit you some money, large income, could be that bonus you always been looking for, could be that finally getting that bag, that what most people think is overnight success, that you get those numbers of shares and like. And basically, you get that bag, so to speak. Today's quote is prepare and prevent, or repair and repent. Prepare and prevent, or repair and repent. Why do lottery winners go broke? One of the things that I always talk to people that is not how much you make, is how much you keep. And one of the things that this major inflow of cash is overwhelming mentally, psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually. So one of the things is you have to combat 2 sides of yourself. One is that yourself. How can I control uncontrollable spending? When you get a large sum of money, it's almost like monopoly money. Is that you just think that I finally have arrived. And we start doing this excessive spending, which means that basically it's almost like Oprah. You get a car, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. And then basically we start, handing out to friends and family and, just have a bunch of cash and we start handing it out. And then we go out and have dinner at the most expensive places, and you want to tip the waitress, and you might even give her $100, $200, $500 tip. All depends on where you are. And then you have the family members. Everybody knows that now you're balling, you're the big baller and everything. So, and then you have all these strangers, people who wouldn't give you the time of day the day before, now are looking at you like you're the crown jewel. And then everywhere you go, people think that you should be the plug, the supplier, that every whim that they have that you should be given. And heavens forbids, basically, you go to the strip club and now you're going to be trying to make it rain just like everybody else do. And, I want you to know that basically when you see people with those big stacks of cash, that not necessarily their money, that it probably is just a prop to highlight their new LP that's coming out. And basically those are sponsors' money, or basically could be spending some of their advanced money. So you got to be careful there. And also lifestyle creep. Now, basically, you're, if you're low income, middle class, or living comfortable, now you think you can get that big old house, you get that mansion, you got to get the cars, etc. So the first person that you have to control is you. Now, the next thing is the external. Everybody will be asking you for money. So basically, that is something that you have to control. The second thing is that now that if people know that you have money, or they see that you're dressing fly, you got the big old chain around your neck, and then you got that sharp whip, you might become a target at some of the places that you will be incognito before. Now you are the toast of the town. You got to be careful with money. People, I've heard it, the adage that money don't change you. Well, it might not change you, but imagine it changed everything else around you, which means that you will start maybe having some strained relationships because you're not doing what they want you to do with your money. It's amazing how people are able to spend your money better than they can spend their money. Next is that you, what I call the survivor's guilt, that you finally have arrived to the place and have the financial means to make decisions and go places and do things. Now you feel guilty because now you have outclassed the people that you are normally with. And the thing about it is that now, if you don't have friends who are on that level, on that multi-million-dollar level, then other people think that basically you have to be the sponsor. So you end up being alone 9 times out of 10, which give you the effect that you start getting bored because after 6 months of being a big baller, traveling, eating, dining, shopping, and doing all those things, you'll become bored because you haven't had a lifestyle that will dictate you to meet the same people on your level. And further, if the relationship will be strained, and most lottery winners go broke because eventually, whatever, if there was a problem, let's say with your significant other, whether it be your girlfriend or wife, or there's some friction between your children and you, all these things become more exasperated because now you are in control of a mass amount of finance, and people expect you to do what they want you to do with that, and they want you to be generous. So the main thing is that you do not consult with financial professionals. One of the things that I am not a financial expert. I just know enough to get you in tune to what you need to do when you actually go out and speak to a state attorney. When you get ready to set up a trust fund or foundation. One of the things that you need to look for in a tax accountant. So one of the things that once you get organized, which basically is the basic organization that you need to do with financial literacy. And I have to go back to the fundamentals. And the fundamentals is, first, you need to create a budget of what your plans is from this point for the next, let's say, 40 years. And I'm guessing whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or 50s, you're going to live at least 30 or 40 or 50 years from that point on. What are some of the objectives that you want to achieve? And you have to really have a clear, concise idea of the lifestyle that you want to maintain throughout that. So if you want that 6 room, 4 bath, 4 car garage lifestyle, you have to talk to your estate plan, your financial planner, your tax attorney to create a portfolio that would give you that. And then you can do a lot of things like the trusts and foundations and those sort of things to make sure that you are living that type of lifestyle. But the basics are you have to have a budget. You need to know what your income and your expenses are. And you need to know what your assets and liabilities are. Know when you have this influx of large money, that can be overwhelming because you're not there yet. but you can get there in a short period of time. Now, with those things, you have to understand what are the pros and cons for doing all the things that you have. So basically, income, expense, assets, and liabilities is the basics for that. And you also have to look at what is your investment and savings plan to create that environment that you are looking at. And of course, at this time, and this is for all the people who are not the ballers and the lottery winners, you need to have your debt and look at your debt reduction, as well as making sure that you have a credit score. Now, if you're a lottery winner, all those things that is not necessary. What is necessary for a lottery winner is that how can I turn what I have right now into generational wealth, or how can I turn this into assets, enhancing vehicles that I can maintain the lifestyle that I want for the next 20, 30, 40 years. And beyond that, how can I create the legacy or the generational wealth that I need for that? Which means that basically there's three areas that you have to keep in mind. And the three areas, whether you're just starting off, or you're middle class, or you're rich, you still have to deal with three issues. Three issues that I want to talk about right now is debt, taxes, and inflation. One of the things that people who are in that getting ready to retire, they have to look at the debt they're accumulating, the taxes, and inflation. One of the things that let's take for a person who have a typical 401k. Let's say that basically you have between $250,000 and $500,000 that you are using for your retirement income. And let's say that you have a home, whether you have, let's say, 15 or 10 years left on the mortgage, or you might have are close to paying off that mortgage, and your vehicles and cars and etc. The major items. Most people, major items are the home that they have and the vehicles that they drive, and hopefully they are also maybe some college that if they were paying for college for their children. Then basically some people have stocks, and some people have bonds, and some people have real estate. But one of the things we know for sure, right now there is inflation creep, and right now we've been talking about the debt ceiling and what we're going to deal with that, and the government still haven't made up their mind how they're going to do that. Even though I know eventually at the 11th hour, the Democrats and Republicans will come with this grand idea, which they could have done yesterday, but they're going to wait till the 11th hour to commit. But you don't have that kind of flexibility. You're going to have some mechanism in place that basically can ensure that you are successful down the road. Now, one of the things that I want you to make a note of with your 401k, you have tax deferred money, which means that basically once you start taking that money out, that it would be taxed. But we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to get back into why lottery winners go broke and helping other people with their 401k money. Welcome back to the Dr. Ron Smith Investigate Show, and today we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is financial literacy, and we are talking about why and how lottery winners go broke. And one of the things I said earlier is that it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep. You have to keep that in mind. And it's not necessarily, you could be a millionaire living paycheck to paycheck. So basically, everyone needs to have a structure, a plan that's clear and concise, that basically you are following, and you're committed to the process. And I call it the ABCs. You have to be aware of where you are. You have to believe that a change is possible, and you have to be committed to that change. And that's the reason why I say everyone needs to be committed to a budget, even if you're a lottery winner. I know just before I left, I was talking about more about 401ks and lottery, but it's the same amount of money, because at the end, you are deferring money that you will use after you continue your employment. And there are some pros and cons to when you receive that money. Just as if you win the lottery, you can get the lump sum, or you can get the annual payment. And that, to me, is another subject that I want to really broker right now, because it all depends on you as an individual and your ability to have a financial plan and having a team around you. And you need a team. If you have a large sum of money, even with your 401k, you're going to need a tax accountant. You're going to need a estate planner to make sure that the lifestyle that you have invested in and that you have created will last you through those years. One of the things that when a young person win the lottery, they think they have the time to enjoy themselves, which you should. And you should make sure that you don't let the lifestyle creep erode some of the money that you have, which means that you need a plan. So I want to finish up the statement that I made with the 401k about the debt, taxes, and inflation, and then we're going to move back into when you get a lump sum. So one of the things, if you are moving towards, you have to, well, the secret to money is that either you're going to earn more and spend less. That's the real secret to it. That's, I can give you the 4-30-20-10 formula, and I can tell you budget and income. And you could look at, your assets and liabilities, all that is all well and good. But if you can reduce your debt and live below the amount of income that you have, so that is the real key. Now, everything else is really just window dressing. But to address debt, you have to, one of the things there is that my research has told me there's good debt and there's bad debt. Bad debt is when you purchase things that decrease in value. Good debt is when you purchase things that increase in value. And I can give you many examples of that. Now, if I buy an antique car and I'm able to keep it in warehouse it, that could be a good debt, because in 5 or 10 years from now, if they stop making that particular model, then you have collectors who actually will pay a exuberant price for that. But if I buy a Cadillac or all the other quote expensive vehicles, don't you know they are building a new Porsche 4-door sports car, and maybe by next year, in the next 5 to 10 years, everything will be electric anyway. So one of the things that you need to keep in mind that, yes, I can drive that Phantom and that Corniche right now, but 5 to 10 years from now, what would be the value of that? Taxes, one of the things they say that one of my favorite singers, Marvin Gaye, and basically he in his song Trouble Man, he said three things just for sure: death, taxes, and trouble. So taxes is one of those things, and death is one of those things that are inescapable, especially living in a society like America. And one of the things I know for sure, taxes normally don't go down. It's just like inflation, and they ain't going down. So your plan that you have with your, let's say, your financial advisor today has to maintain some fluidity in there, because if you start work, let's say you start work in the 2000, and now it's 2023, the taxes and the debt that you accumulated there and the inflation now is totally different. So basically, when you talk to your tax advisor, basically when you're talking about a retirement plan, that has to be built in to make sure that if your investment keeps up with the taxes and inflation. One of the things that I've learned, and I learned the hard way, is that sure, I set up my 401k for the 20-year or 30-year period. One of the things that I didn't know is that the taxes, I'm in a higher tax bracket than I was before. And let me share you, and this is a little personal side note. When my children was 20 and 30 years ago, I had write-offs. I can do the earned income tax. I can do the tax credit. I had all these things that I can write off on my tax return. Well, this year I have not any of those things. So that put me in a higher tax bracket. Plus, now I'm taxed on the money that I'm getting back also. So IRA might be even better situation for you. So basically, if I was talking to my 30-year younger self, there are certain things that I would probably do differently than I did, even that's eventually happened to me today. You really think about inflation, but inflation happens every year, and now you have the government trying to increase the rate for financing to counter the inflation, because people are still spending, and part of the increasing the interest rate is to curb their spending. So when you have both, then you have this what I call a soup sandwich that nobody really wants to pick up, because it's very difficult. That's why you need a financial plan. So number one, lack of money management skills, which means that basically you are just thinking about what today's issues are. A tax advisor will advise you of what he would think the rate of inflation is, and advise you what vehicles are best to put your money in. One of the things that you have to be conscious of, what I call cash flow, which cash flow changes everything, which means the money flows in and it flows out. And if you don't have a control of that, then basically you're going to end up with a headache. One of the things that I haven't touched on is the emotional side of money. I kind of touched on it briefly, is that you might say money don't change you, but think about how you have just almost overnight went from almost from 0 to 60 in a short period of time. How you are viewed by other people, whether you're viewed as a friend that can help everybody. And that's one of the things that I talk about survivor's guilt is that now I am in a position that I can actually affect the economy of not only myself and my family, but now I can affect a broad number of people. So who are the broad number of people that I really want to affect most? And my suggestion to you is that you don't really need no new friends. The people that you have in your life and the people who are supporting you right now are the people that you need to. As a matter of fact, you probably need to whittle that down to that group, to a smaller group. And what I mean by that is that everybody is an asset or a liability. Assets add to your life, liability takes away from your life. And that's not only in a accounting or financial proposition, it is your personal life also. When people are adding to you, those are the people that you need to surround yourself with. People who are liabilities, who are taken from you. Those are the people that you need to narrow down that position. And one of the things that you have to be concerned with is that you have now entered into the 37% tax bracket. So basically, what you do with money is a little different than what you have been doing in the past. And I give you a case in point. You're going to help some people. And one of the things that you have to be concerned with is what I call the gift tax. Gift tax is anything over $15,000. Now, that tax on that could be from 40%, well, 20% to 40%. So basically, when you out, giving, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car, you got to realize that basically that's money is taxed on that. And which will remind me of, did you remember the movie Ray? Well, Ray Charles, it shows his beginnings and how he kind of blew up. One of the things that he did, he had 15 children. Now, I recommend you have 15 children, but he wanted each of the children to have $1 million out of his estate. What he did was he gave each of them, I think, $1,500,000. So they would actually have $1 million. So one of the things that I admired him, besides the record deal that he made that was that nobody else had done, not even Elvis and a few other people, is that he wanted to ensure that each one of his children had $1 million. So basically, he set it up in his trust, in his will, that he would pay the taxes on it, which is the gift tax. A lot of times we don't even realize that. And one of the things that, we use Cash App all the time. So if you don't put a little extra money on that Cash App, the person is not going to get that $50 that you sent them. They might get $48.25. So if you want to actually get that $50, you've got to make sure you put $52 or $53 in there. So make sure you pay the taxes on that. Well, it's not really taxes, just that's how Cash App is Cash App, which is, I love the concept. Think about it. They are moving money, but and think about it. If I do 100,000 transactions and just make $1.25 on that 100,000, which means they can do that 100,000 transaction in an hour. So you divide that by 24 because it goes all 24/7. Think of that concept. Think of the revenues. Think of the ideas. That's how we break out this ordinary hamster wheel that we think about income and finance. But I just throw that in because that's a topic for another subject. So how do we deal with our emotions with money? And that happens prior to you getting it. If you are having a budget, and I mentioned the 40, 30, 20, and 10, you are building up a structure. One of the things that I believe that we need to go back to is the piggy banks. And that's how we first learned how to save as children. And what the 40, 20, 30, 40, 30, 20 did is put that structure of each part of money has a place. I thank you for the time that we have shared. Money is a subject that I will continue to talk about. And next week, there's a thing that I ran across years ago called the black tax. And one of the things that we're going to talk about next week is the black tax and how that affects us and how we deal with that, and how we are not able to do a lot of things because we are looking at today's and not looking at the future. Well, so brothers and so sisters, my time is up, and I thank you for yours. Until next time.